Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Adewale Yusuf. If you'd like to create an awesome dashboard like what you can see on my screen, where I play with different dashboards on employee count, termination, attrition, and all that, then make sure you watch this video. Then in this video, you will know how to create an HR analytics report. Once you are done with this project, make sure you tag me in on LinkedIn, Twitter at Adewale Analyst, on LinkedIn, Adewale Yusuf. Make sure you tag me with your dashboard and I'm going to put a comment in there. So let's go into it. So this report has to do with HR analytics. So we're going to kind of follow all the requirements you can see on my screen, and it will build the amazing dashboard that I just showed you earlier, and you see how we are going to build that, right? So if you look at these requirements and the key questions we want to answer here, so this is talking about what's the total number of the employees since inception? What's the total number of our current employee? What's the total number of our terminated employees? What's our employee termination rate? What is our total salary paid? So we have basically 7 questions we want to answer. So I can say 7 reports basically. And all of those 7 reports, we can actually drag them out from this data set here. So this is how our data set look like. It's an HR analytic data set. It has a lot of information that we can actually use to answer those 15 questions that has been given to us. So basically, we're going to use pivot table to be able to do this report. So most of us know about what pivot table is and how you can actually use pivot table. But if you are new to pivot table, just know you can as well understand what pivot table is all about in this video. So basically, this data you have here has been converted to a table already. This is why you can see table design here, and you can see the name of the table here. So to build a pivot table report, if I go to insert and I click on pivot table, you will see this pop-up that will come up and say new sheet. Choose where you want the pivot table to be placed, new sheet. Choose whether you want to analyze multiple tables, right? Add this data to the data model. I'll talk about this later and how you can use this, but let's just quickly see. When I click OK, right here, you will see the list of all the fields that you have in the report, and you can start dragging report by this. Let's say I want to do a report of education by, now I need the total number of employee. I think the best way I can do that is probably count the employee ID. So if I look for employee ID, let me just say ID. So this is the employee ID and I put it here. Inside here, you can see it did a sum. So instead of a sum, I can right click and say, I want you to summarize value by count, right? Summarize this value by count. Then from here, I'll be able to see the pivot table that I need. But basically, this is not what I really need, because I also want to count the employee when there's a condition in my calculation now. So I want to count the employee when the attrition is no, right? Those are the employees that I know that are still working with us, because attrition simply means people have left. So if the attrition is no, then that means the employee is still with us. If the attrition is yes, that means the employee has been terminated. So we need to calculate all of those. Now, pivot table cannot do that really. That's the limitation with pivot table alone. So you have to kind of combine pivot table and Power Pivot to be able to write all those calculations inside your pivot table. So I'm going to delete this sheet right now. Let me just delete this sheet and go back. Now, if you look at my requirement again, you will see that there are some key metrics that we have put here. And those key metrics basically are those things that you are going to need to be able to calculate, to be able to answer most of these questions. So the first one is total employee. So we want to know what's our total employee from inception, because one question says that. So we calculate all the employee, right? Then we also look at the head count. So head count simply means like the current employee. So how many current employee? And you can see I've put the calculation here already for your guidance. Then the termination, how many people are terminated. Then we have the termination rate, and then we also have the salary. So let's start with the total employee, head counts. We all start with these 5 metrics. Then once we calculate these 5 metrics, then we can start building our report, right? So if I go back to my data set and I do insert again, pivot table. Now, right now, one thing I'm going to add to be able to add the calculations to this pivot table is this option you can see below, add this data to the data model. So let's say, for example, you have 2 or 3 tables. Data model can help you kind of connect all these tables together and see how they kind of work well. If you really don't know what data model means or you want to learn more about data model, I will advise you learn more in Power BI, because you can do a lot of data model in Power BI as well. I have some videos on my channel as well that can teach you how to build a data model. Now, once you select this, add this data to a data model, then you click OK. I can either do a new sheet, but I think I have a sheet for report already. So let me just do a existing sheet, go to report, and just click any of the, maybe anywhere here, and just click OK. Okay, so now I have my pivot table. Now the difference you will see is still the same, right? But the difference you will see is now I have a table header here. And when I right click on this table header, you will see add measure. So add measure simply means that now I can now add the calculations to my report. So the calculation is not very interesting. So the report that I did the other time, so I say education by employee ID. So the ID, I just brought the ID here, and then I right click on here. I say show values, summarize value by count, because I'm counting the total number of employees. But instead of doing that, I can actually write a calculation that would do that myself, right? And that is very, very easy. I'm just going to count the employee ID, straightforward. So I can right click this and say add measures. So when you right click and you click add measures, this is going to pop up. And when this pop up, what you need basically is the measure name. So what's the name of the measures that you want to write? Because you need to declare a measure name here. And then I'm going to say total employee. That's the name. Then do you have a description for that? I can leave the description for now. Then here, this is where you write the formula or the calculation. So I'm going to start with count. If you're familiar with Excel formulas very well, this is the same or almost the same. Then you click on count. Then what do you want to count? So I want to count the employee ID. So I'm saying employee, that's the table. You will see employee, that's the table. ID, that's a column inside that table. And I'm going to select this one, ID employee inside the employee table. Then I'll close my bracket. I'll just close my bracket. Now you have to be very careful. You can zoom this by holding your control so that you'll be able to see. When you hold your control and you zoom your mouse, you'll be able to see it very well so that you are sure that you close your bracket or you're not missing any bracket. Another way to also test is when you come here and you click on check data formula. So if you have any error in your formula, it's going to show here. You can see for me, there's no error. In fact, you can even kind of make sure that you format your measures from here. If you wanted to have a decimal, if you wanted to have 1,000 separator, you can select it from here. And then you will see exactly what it's going to bring when you click OK. So when I click OK now, and you scroll down to the end here, you will see another field as a core, and this field has an FX sign. So basically that field is a calculation. That's why there's that FX in there. It's a calculation. So when you drag the FX right here, you will see that I don't necessarily need to go back here and select show values as summarize values as count. It has already did the count for me, right? And this is the count basically. So I'll remove this count of employee. I don't need this guy. So I only need this total employee. Now let's talk about employee, current employee, or let's say head count, right? So if I want to do an head count of the current employee that we have, then I'm going to kind of do a conditions to say the attrition is no, right? Because that means the employee is still with us. So when I click on add measure again, then here I'm going to call this measure head count, and I'm going to use a formula called calculate, right? Calculate is a formula that allows you to alter a filter on a particular data set, right? Or on a table. I have a videos on calculate on my YouTube channel. If you want to learn more about calculate, you can watch that video. So I can type calculate. So what I'm saying is I want to calculate the total employee, but I'm putting a condition. Remember, I've created a measure before, and I call that measure total employee. So I can actually reference that measure inside this one. Let me zoom this so that you'll be able to see what I'm doing, right? So I want to calculate. When you put a curly bracket, when you put a curly bracket like this, that's the bracket beside your P, you will see all the measures that you've calculated before. So the measure I've calculated before is this total employee. So when I select it, total employee, and I'll put a comma, the first one is expression, which I've put, comma. Now, what's the filter? The filter is when attrition, can you see employee attrition, is equals to no, but I'll put down no in quote, right? So that you can, when you're typing a test inside the formula, you have to put it in quote, right? So let me zoom this so you see my measure. Calculate my total employee that I just did before when an employee attrition is equals to no. So when I click on check now, you will see this thing makes sense because there's no error. So you should always remember to do that. You can click on number format, give it a 1000 separator. So I select 1000 separator. I put a decimal if I want to, but there's definitely no decimal because this is head count, right? You can, and that's why you can see that 0 is just here. So when I click OK, so this is now my head count. So when you select this, you will see that the head count is different from what is there before. So to do the second calculation is also simple. I think it's similar to the head count calculation. In fact, you can even edit measure. When you right click on each of the measure, you can right click on it like this, edit it, and then you just copy it. I can copy this one, right? So when I copy this one and I want to create a measure for termination, then I'm going to right click and say add measure. So I'm going to paste this one, and then my measure name is called termination, right? Because the condition for termination is when the attrition is yes. Attrition simply means that employee has left us, right? So termination is yes. So let me check this and also do a number format. Use 1000 separator for this as well. So now I've created my termination measure, which is basically my third matrix, and you can see the third matrix here, right? So here I have 5 metrics. We've created this first 3, which is what we just did now. So another thing we need to do is now the termination rate. The termination rate. So termination rate is basically your termination divided by your head count, and that's straightforward, right? That's very, very straightforward. So what I will do again is go here, right click on my employee, add measure, and I will call this measure termination rate, right? And then I'm going to say my curly bracket again to call the measure that I've written before, and you type termination. So you can see termination, right? Divided by head count. So you can also type head count here. So just these two. So you check your formula, it's all good. You use your 1000 separator if you want to, but this, I think this is just a division. So it's going to be probably, it's not going to be a decimal number. It's going to be a percentage. So you can put 2 decimal for this one. So because it's actually a rate. Then I click OK. Now we also need to calculate our salary. Now, when you are calculating salary, right, you know some of employees have left. So you can add their salary to the salary that you want to create because they have already left us. So you only calculate the salary for those that are actually still with us. So what you do is you go back to employee. So you do add new measure again. Let's say salary, right? And then here we do calculate again. So now we are not calculating the total employee this time. We are calculating the sum of, so I'm going to say sum of salary. So I'm going to sum salary, right? Employee salary. When, I put a comma, when attrition is equals to, put it in quotes, remember, attrition is equals to no. So that means when this employee is still with us, right? So let me zoom this so you can see. So this is calculate the sum of the salary, right? The sum of the salary when the employee is still with us. That's the attrition is no. So you can do a number format for this. Use a 1000 separator if you want to, and then you click OK. Okay, so there's an error. Okay, that's good. Remember, that's why I said you should always do this. Now, what is the error that this is saying? Calculate the sum of employee. Okay, the error seems not to be here. So let me click OK and let's see the error again. We could not get the data from the data module. Here is the error message we got. The salary measure cannot be created because a column with the same name already exists, right? So maybe just put this in a new name. I'm just going to call it total salary, right? So that a name already existed in the data set called salary, and that's why it's not taking this. So we'll just call it total salary and click OK. Okay, great. Now that we have all our metrics, the next thing to start doing is to start creating all the report and the requirement that was given to us. All the report and requirement that was given to us. So I'll start with the first requirement. So the first requirement says that what is the total number of employees since inception? So what I'm going to do, let me go back to my report. You can actually copy this, or let's just remove everything that is here. If I remove everything that is here and I put only the total employee, see the way I remove it, I just drag it out from here, or you can either go here and untick it. So you can untick from here as well, right? then I can tick again, total employee. So basically, by ticking that, I've answered this number one question really. So then I can just tick. So basically, I've done the number one. I can just color this one. Let me color it green, right? So what's the total number of employees since inception? So by just doing this, this is my total number of employees since inception. So the second question is, what's the total number of our current employees? So to know that, it's also simple. That's my head count. So once I select that, I've also answered this requirement number 2. Now, requirement number 3 is, what's the total number of our terminated employees? So that's also easy because I have a terminated measure. I just go here and also answer this by color it green. What's our employee termination rate? I just select termination rate and also select total salary. So that way, I've answered the termination rate and I've also answered the total salary, right? So this basically has answered most of my questions, most of my first requirement. Just total. They just want to see the total, right? Now, to answer the next questions, right? The next question is our current employee by gender. I think that is quite straightforward as well. What's our gender by current employee? So I can copy this. So remember, you can always copy this. You don't need to go back to insert pivot again. So you can copy whatever is here, then you untick everything you need. You don't need there. So the question says our current employee by gender. That's current employee's headcount. Then I'll look for gender here. So you can search here just in case you can see it. Then once I click this, then I have my current employee by gender. So this is female 501 and male is 732, right? Which make a lot of sense. Now, the next requirement, basically, which is requirement number 7, is what is the level of our employee education? So this basically is checking our employee education by our headcount. So let's see employee education by headcount. That should be able to answer this question, the level of our employee education, because it wants to see how they are well educated or what they currently have. So I can copy, always leave a space, at least 2 or 3 space if you want. So since I said the educations by headcount, so I'm just on tick gender and look for education here and select education. So here I have our education, right? And this is 473,139. I think the highest education we have is 433%. I can actually put this in percentage if I want to, but let's leave it like this. So let's answer the next question. So the next question basically is, how satisfied is our employee with their job? So basically we should have something about job satisfaction here. Yes, basically we have that. So I'm going to copy this again and I'll check our employee job satisfactions by head count as well. So I will remove education and I will look for job satisfaction here. So job satisfaction basically shows this. And I think most of our employees are quite satisfied because I can see 407 for very high. Okay, great. Okay, so let's go to the next requirement. We are done with this one. So the next requirement is, what is the rate of our employee work-life balance? I think we should have something on work-life balance as well. So I'm going to copy this. Remember to always leave 2 or 3 spaces here. Then I'll look for work-life balance. So I'll remove job satisfaction and also look for a work-life balance. So you can see I'm using the current employee count a lot, which is the head count, right? And we have the work-life balance here. So next report, this is also okay. So next report, our quarterly new hire. So our quarterly new hire is actually very straightforward. So what we're going to do is, the way we know our new hire is we depend on the kind of date that you use. Because if you look at this data set here, we have the date departed, we have the date start and the date of birth. So date of birth is not what we're interested in. So if we want to know the date that people new hire came in, then we'll have to look at the date start. If we want to know that the date that an employee actually leave, then you have to look at the date departure, right? So for this one, what we need basically is still going to be our head count, because that's the current employee. But we are going to look at that in terms of date start. So I'm going to look for date start here. So date start is here, but what we need is quartile, not the date. So if you are using Excel 2016 upward, when you click or you tick this date, pivot table is going to automatically create an hierarchy for you, right? I think I click at the wrong place, right? So see, it put it in column, but basically you can actually put it in rows as well. So look at this. So let me just drag all of this to row, all of this to row. I don't want it in column, I want it in row. So I'm going to drag all of it to row. Yeah, great. Now, basically, pivot table is going to create an hierarchy like this for you. I click only on one field and it creates year, quarter, month, and date for me. If you're using Excel 2013 and below, it may not curate that hierarchy for you. So you may need to come here yourself and right click the date and go to group and then select month, quarter, and year and click OK. Then that will to create the hierarchy. But if you're using Excel 2016 upward, you don't need to do that. It will already create the hierarchy. So what I need basically is the quarter, right? So I'll remove the day start, I'll remove the month, I'll remove the year, then I'll leave only the quarter. So this way I have this, and this head count, I'm just basically going to call it new hire because I'm showing it by quarter right now, right? New hire. So the next requirement after this one is a quarterly terminations too. Simple. Then I'm just going to duplicate this one. So quarterly termination. I'm going to duplicate this one. Let me just, okay, let me copy this. Quarterly termination. Let me just copy this. Okay, so to do that is also very simple. So what I will do is I will just remove the new hire and then select termination. So then we have the quarterly termination here. All right, then that is also answered. Now we have just 3 or 4 more. So this one is monthly termination trend. So what's the monthly termination trend? And then I think to do that is also quite simple. So we just use a month instead of quarter. So monthly termination trend. So this one, I'll remove the quarter from here. Now, if you look at your data set now, because you've created an hierarchy once, you now see a date start month now. So you have month already now in your data set. So let me go back. And then I think that's also it. Then we also have monthly salary trend. Okay. So monthly salary trend, I'm going to copy this and then I think it's almost the same thing, but this time I'm not using termination. It's using salary. So I'll remove termination. Then I'll put total salary here. Total salary here. And you see the total salary. Now, this is also answered, right? Now, the next one is salary spread by number of years our full-time employee or current contractor spend at the company. So salary spread by number of years our full-time employee or contractor spend at the company. Okay, so in our data set, let me copy this as well and use it for my new report. So in our data set, we are talking about employee total salary. So that's fine. I'll remove month. Now we are talking about the salary spread of number of years our full-time and our full-time employee and contractor spend at the company. So what can give us the full-time and contractor? The full-time and contractor. I think that should be like an employee type. So if you have something on employee type, let's see, or employment type, basically, maybe that will give us that information. Employment type, or let me just type here. Okay, so I think we have employment type. So I'm going to put that in column. So that will give us contractor and full-time. So we can already see the salary spread of these two people, right? Contractor, we spend about 1.4 million for contractor, 7 million for full-time, right? Now, this is also talking about the number of years are full-time. So the number of years they spent, right? So if we look at this very well, I'm just going to type year right now. So now we have total working years. We have years at company. So which of them I'm going to use? I think total working years is what makes sense for this requirement, because the requirement is talking about salary spread by number of years. Okay, maybe not total working years, number of years. Maybe this is talking about years at company. So number of years they've spent. So that's years at company. So I'm going to put that in rows. Remember, don't tick, just carry it to row, because if you tick, this is a number, you may just put it in values. So this has tell me that this person spent, if you spent 1 year in our company, this is like the amount of salary that we spend. If you spend 2 years in the company, 3 years in the company, so those that are really spent 30 years in our company are not paying more. That means they are not really much. Maybe like 2 or 3 people, right? I spend those number of years in our company. Even a contractor did not even spend up to 23 years. So, okay. So that answered this particular question. We'll see how that plays inside the chart. Now, the last question is salary spread by total working years of an employee by gender. I think it's actually similar to what we have here, but it's just that this one is by maybe gender, and this is in terms of salary. Yeah, this is salary. So I'm going to copy this salary trend, put a space here, paste this down, remove months from here. So I'm going to look for gender, put gender in my columns, and look for total working years. Since they've mentioned total working year here, and put my total working years in row. So that way I've finished all the requirements, right? So the next thing for me to do now is to start building the dashboard. Now, to build the dashboard, the first thing I always tell people is before you start building a dashboard or you start building a report, first thing first is to actually create a layout. So create how you want your dashboard to look like, what you want to put in the dashboard, how many charts you want to have in the dashboard, how do you want to kind of arrange and put this, what color did you want to use, and then how did you want to arrange it. So when it comes to color, what I usually tell people is you can go to different websites where you can actually explore different colors. So if you go to this website called colors.co, so there's a website called colors, I think it's called colors.co or something. So yeah, colors.co. So when you go to colors.co or you go to colors.on, you can actually see different colors there. This is colors.co. So here I can click on start generator. So when you click on start generator, the color is going to bring in different colors for you. And then you can see different tutorials on how to use this, but I don't want to waste my time. You can explore that yourself. So this is different colors here and different palettes. So you can actually click and look at different things you want to see. You can even generate a picture by bringing a picture in. When you select that, you bring a picture in, it generates color based on that picture. So you can do different things of your choice. You can see when you click on this eye here and you select any color of your choice, or you drag to any color of your choice, it's probably going to give you a color, just a color at that whatever you are selecting, right? So if I select this one and I click on apply, you will see that it gives me a color based on whatever I'm selecting, right? So you can decide to use this color. So from dark to light. This is from dark to light, right? So, and you can use any of the color you think you prefer. You can even select a color blindness. You can even come here. One thing is, if you like this one color, you can see a lot of these colors. So when you click on a palette like this, it will show you the shade of these colors from black to light, from black to light. So for me, I'll be using blue. I'll show you two examples of the dashboard. The one I use a bit of purple and the one I use a bit of both. So I'll be using a blue. So here you see these are the colors that I will be using. This is my dark. This is my from dark to light color. So this is very dark up to very light color, right? Then I'll go to my dashboard and start creating the layout of how I want this my dashboard to look like, right? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to maybe view now and just remove the grid lines here. I'm going to remove the grid lines. So I'm seeing this very interesting like this. So I'm going to click on Control A and highlight this place and give this a very, very light color or something like ash color like this. So no, I select the wrong one. So the highlight color, I'm going to select the ash color like this. So it's going to give my dashboard a bit of this color, but I think this ash is too much. Maybe I should use the second one. Okay, maybe this is okay. Okay, let me use this one. Right now, the next thing I'm going to do is the way I want this to look like, right? I'm going to create a layout here. I'm going to see how I want my layouts to be. So I'm going to click on here, this shape, right? This shape here, this shape. So this shape, basically, I'm going to do it like this. So the way I want my shape to be, right? Now, this shape that I have here, I want to give it a color. So I don't want an outline color. So I will say no outline color. Now for the shape fill color, so I will use the first dark color, which is this one. So I can copy it. So if your system does not allow you to have an S color code like this, you can actually use Google to convert this S color code to RGB. So just type it in Google, convert X to RGB, then you'll be able to use RGB. So if I go to shape format here, shape fill, I click on more colors, then here I'll be able to paste this X code here. Now, I was saying that for people that you don't have X code, convert this X code to RGB, then you can put it in RGB, red, green, blue. You'll be able to use this RGB, right? So when I click OK like this, you will see this is my darker shape, right? Then I'll kind of copy and paste this, bring it down a little bit like this, and then make this one maybe something very tiny, right? I can even, let me just even do show tabs only here so that I'll be able to see enough space. So for the second one, I want to use my other color. So that is where I want. So for you, you can combine colors if you want. Just make sure that the colors that you use kind of make sense. You don't necessarily need to use my color. I repeat, you don't necessarily need to use my color. So use any of the color that you are fine with. You can see this is another shade of the blue, right? So I can duplicate this again and just bring it down a little bit like this. Then I'll use another shade of my blue, which is this one. So when you are working with your color, I think it's best you document your color like I did. Just write it down like that. So that way you know each of the colors you're using. So if I go to Morpheus, I just also paste this my S code here. This is also another shade. And then I copy this one again. I go to S code and then copy this guy. Go back to my dashboard and then go to Morpheus, paste this S code here. Okay, so this is also another shade of, okay, so basically this is the shade of all the colors I want to use, and I've put those shade here so that you see how that shades look like. So the next thing I'm going to do is to kind of now put where I want some other charts to be. So if I go to insert again, and I'll just go to shape, and then from shape, I'll select this rectangular shape. So this rectangular shape, I draw it like this. I want a shape to be here, and this shape, I don't want it to have any outlines. I'll say no outline, and I'll say the shape field should be white. So I want a white shape here, right? I want a white shape here, and then I think this, my background color is not coming out well. So let me just highlight it again and use the second option. So, which is this one here. Okay. So that I can see the white very well. Now, this makes sense. So another thing you should do is you should make use of the alignment when you are drawing a shape. So, you know, you can always select these two guys like this, and then go to shape format, and then you see the size of them. So here, shape format, you see the height is 2.87. The height of this one is 2.9. So I can do 2.87, right? 2.87. So they are the same size. And then once I do that, I'll select these two. I go here. I can do align and say align top. So that way I know they are both on the same line, right? Then the next thing is I want to do another shape here. So I'm basically going to create another one here. So this one, I'm putting it right here, right? Putting this one just right here, right? And I'm duplicating it again, putting another one down here. Putting another one down here. Okay, so now I have this one, and then you keep creating, just duplicate until you have, so this is the layout. When you are done with the final layout and you've created the layouts like this, just make sure you align the layouts very well and make sure that everything kind of makes sense. So the next thing to do is to start putting visuals and everything you need inside this layout. So I will start with the text box. So I'll come here and bring a text box here. So this text box, I'm going to call it HR Analytics report. HR Analytics report. And I'm going to kind of go to shape formats. I'm saying shape fill, no fill, shape outline, no outline. Then I'm going to increase this this text and give it a white color. Let me just drag this like this and just put it right here. So you can also put an icon. I think this is too big. So you can also put an icon. So you can get an icon online, or you can even get an icon from here. But for me, I think I have an icon I want to use on my system. So I can just go to my PC and just go to my device, just bring in this icon, and then just bring this icon and put it over here. All right. Great. So once I have this icon over here, the next thing I need to do is to kind of also decide on the report I want to build and how I want to build this report. So the first report I want to build is some of my report that I have here. So let me go back. So I'll come back to this first one here, right? I'll come back to this first one here. So let me start with, I'll come back to this guys here. So let me start with this 3 first. So this 3, I want to build a report. So I can either use Alt F1, that's the shortcut to build a chart, or you go to insert and select a chart you want yourself. So I want this chart. So once I select this chart, I can format this chart the way I want it. So in fact, you can even right click here and say sort from smallest to largest, so that this will sort appropriately. Then right click on this button and say hide all feed buttons from chart. Then delete this total here, just select and delete. Then also click here and just select the grid lines on select the grid lines. In fact, this one here also, I want to just click and delete it. And then I'll put the data label instead. And the data label, I'm going to say inside hand. And I'll select the data label and change the colors to white so that it can actually be visible. So this line chart that I have here, I don't want any line for this. So to do that, I can select it or select the bar, selection the color of the bars first, select the bars and say format data series. That way another options will appear here. So you go to this fill and line option, you come to fill, you use the solid fill, and this time around you are using your any of your color, but I think I prefer this blue, right? This one. Then also this line here, so you just go to line and say no line. So that way it's not showing any line here, and this makes sense. Okay, so also I would like to increase this bar, right? To do that, if you go to this option here, and you see this gap width, if you reduce the gap width, then the bar will get big and big and big and bigger, right? So I think we can use maybe, let me see, I don't want to use 8, maybe like 60%. So maybe like 60% for your gap width. I think this should make sense, right? Then I cannot name this and give it a name. I can say education by head count. Education by head count, right? Then I'll put this right here. And then I will just basically take this guy, Control X, take it to my dashboard here and just paste it. So once I paste it, I want to take it to this side, right? Because I want to put it right here. So I'm going to just reduce the size a bit and just like this, right? But it has it also still has a borderline. So I can right click on it and say format chart area and say no line. So when you say no line, that way it doesn't have any borderline, right? So you will see it doesn't have any borderline now. It makes sense. So the color of the title too, I can change the color of the title to maybe my dark blue, right? So I think I have my dark blue here. So okay, so this makes sense because I want 3 charts basically here, so I can reduce it a bit more so that it can accommodate the other chart basically. So let me reduce this more, and even maybe I can reduce this shape more as well. So because there's still a space. Okay, so I can also increase this one as well, so that way it make it bigger. Now the next one I want to create is this one, which is the one that is talking about my I think this is the job satisfaction level. So let me see. Yeah, that's the job satisfaction. So go to insert, pick a chart again. But one thing about pivot table and pivot table chart is this. So let me sort this first. So go to sort and say sort from smallest to largest. So one thing about this is I don't really need to spend much time on the second one because I've already formatted the first one. So I can take this to my dashboard here, paste it here. So once I paste it here, what I just need to do to format this one is click on this one here, which is this one you have here, Control C to copy, and come here and paste it on it. So once you paste it on it, it's going to apply the formatting options like you did in the first one. So we're going to apply it to it as well. So let's give this a name as well. So I'm going to call it job satisfaction by head count. Job satisfaction by head count. by head count. I think I should reduce the size of this heading. Maybe I think the size is too much. Maybe I should give it like, let's say, so if I select the heading, I can go to home and reduce the size to like, I don't know if 12 is okay, but that's too much. Okay, so let's do 12. I can do 12 and also reduce the size of this one to 12 as well. Okay, so I have the second chart. Let me go ahead and create the third chart. So the third chart is talking about the work-life balance. So I'm going to insert again, then I'll go here and also select this bar chart. Remember, I don't need to do anything because I've done it before. So once I click out first before you paste, so you don't paste on that chart. So then I click on this, copy, and just paste, right? So I just copy the formatting, which make a lot of sense, right? So I can just put this here, and just rename this one as well. So this is my work-life balance. Work-life balance by head count, right? So work-life balance by head count. So I have this here as well. Now, another thing I want to do is I want to put like a test in between these guys, just to put a comment in there, and then it will make a lot of sense if I kind of put that comment there. So you can decide to put any comment of your choice that you like. But for me, I already have a comment written somewhere, so I can just copy this comment and just put it here. So I don't need to do it again, right? So I have my comment right here. All right, so I have my comment right here. So just to put those comments in between this one. So once you've successfully created this option, then the next one we want to create is these two here. So these two here is about the quarters, right? So when I go here, I want to put those quarter here, which is this one. So I'm just going to go here, go to insert, and then in my insert, I'm using this chart here. So I'm going to copy it, go to my dashboard. Now, because this chart is a little bit different from the one we have, let's see if we copy this our chart. Probably it's going to work for it. Yes, I think it should. So I'm going to paste it. Yeah, it worked for it, but it make it an horizontal bar. So, well, I can go to change chart type, just right click on it, go to change chart type and change it back to column and click OK. So by doing that, it has already created something like this for me. And then I can drag this here and just reduce the size. Just reduce the size. Let me just reduce the size. Just reducing the size and just put it right here. And I'm going to call this one my new hire. So new hire. But another thing I want to do to this particular chart is do a comparison of my terminations. So what I mean is I want the terminations to just show somewhere so I know somebody has actually been terminated or not. So the way I do that is I go back to the report, right? I'm just going to add, you can right click on this and click on show field list so that you see your pivot table again. So I will add terminations to this guy. So once I add termination to this guy, in my dashboard, you will see that it has brought another visual, which is not what I want. So I can right click on it and say change chart type, and I'll select combo this time, and I'll click OK. So this one that I select combo for, I'll right click on the line and then go to my format data series. So I'll go to here. So the line, I'll make it maybe 1.5, and then I'll make it a dotted line. So I think dotted line kind of makes sense. I'll change the color to red because it's termination. I can add a marker to it. So the marker I want to add, if you go to marker is beside line. So if you go to maybe built-in, then you can select a marker of your choice, probably maybe this one, or any marker of your choice that you like. So there are so many markers here, so maybe this one. And then you change the color of the marker to maybe something like white. And then I think I can click on the title, which is the chart title, and delete it. I don't need a chart title for it. Okay. So now I have a termination there that just shows terminations below as well. Now let me go to the next one. So the next one is this one. So this one, I'm going to go to insert again and then create this visual here. cut this visual, take it to my dashboard, click out before you paste so that it doesn't take, then I'm going to copy this one and paste it on here. Let's see if it's formatted here. Yes, it does. So then I'm going to put my visual here. And I'm going to call this visual termination, right? So this is termination for each of the quarter. Now I've created the second one. So let's create the ones we have here. So I will start with the one below, so which is the monthly termination trend. So the next one is the, if I go to my report, so the next one I want to create is this monthly termination trend. So monthly termination trend, let's create that. So what I want to do there is I want to create a visuals that kind of makes sense. And then I want to show a trend lines of each of the visuals. But let me create a visual first. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to select this one. So I have this visual like this here. So I'm going to delete this guy here. Like I said, since I have something similar here already, I don't need to waste my time. I can just bring it here and just click on this one and just copy and then paste it here. So you can see it very fast. So then I'll call this my monthly termination trends, right? Monthly termination trends. Then I'll reduce the size of this since I already have my layout. So I'm following the layout right now, right? And this is why the layout kind of makes sense, because it will help you and guide you on how you're going to arrange your chart. So let me reduce this so we can see the month. Okay. So another thing I would like to do to this is I want to show probably something like a trend lines that show the biggest and the highest of this and how they actually connect and how they go. So the way I can do that is I can actually come back here to this monthly termination trend and add another termination. I know it doesn't make sense now when I had another termination because it's the same number. You can see the same number here. But that's not what I want to use it for. So when I go back to my dashboard, you see I have this. So I'll right click again and do change chart type and go to combo and change this second one to line, right? So I change this second one to line. So this line one, I will select the data label of that and delete it. Then I'll select the line itself and format data series. So now on the line, I will make sure that the line is maybe something of my light blue, that my light blue color. So I think that's not light. So I'll select something of my light blue color. Then I'm going to make the line very not too thick, maybe around just one pt, and then I'll make it dotted line like this, and then I'll also make it smooth. So that way it will show me what is the highest and the trend of how my visuals is also moving, right? So I want to achieve something like this for the second one as well. So I'm doing the similar thing to the second report, which is the total salary termination, total salary trend. So I'll go to insert again, and then this time around, I'll make sure that I also bring in another salary as well, so that I can use that for the trend line. So I'll go to my showed feed list, add a new salary, and then I'll go to insert. I'll go and insert a chart now, just any chart that I want. This one, right? Oh, sorry, not this one. Well, it doesn't matter really, because I'm still going to copy the other one. So I'm going to copy this guy and paste this guy. So once I copy this guy, look at this. I'm just going to copy this guy and put it on this guy. You see the magic. Can you see that? So I don't need to recreate or do the formatting again, which is going to take a lot of my time. So I don't need to do that, right? So let me drag this to the right here so that it also get bigger. Okay, so you can see my monthly termination trend, and this is my monthly salary trend, so not termination. So let me change this to salary. Okay, so now I have this, then I have these two and this other left to use. So for this one, I want to create another type of chart for this one, and then I would just like to create maybe a report that kind of just look at the contractors and just filter the contractors based on whatever it's selected. Okay, so that's okay. So I'll go to my contractors report, which is this one. So let me delete this guy, it's no longer needed. So this one, I'm going to go to insert again and then create another report and then select this guy. Copy this guy again to my dashboard. And here, I'm going to copy this visual that I have here, copy, paste it on it. Now, once I paste this on it, this is not the type of chart I want for this one. And I don't also need a data label for this one. So I can right click on this one, go to my change chart type. When I go right click on this and select my change chart type. So for this one, I want an area chart for this one. So area chart, basically, area chart. Now this area chart that I just want it to show me per one employee at a time, just per employee at a time, right? Because I don't want to be switching between two employees. And the way I do that is I can come here, create a slicer on this report, just on this report only. And I'm going to use my employment type, right? I'm going to select my employment type. So this slicer, I'm going to bring it here to my dashboard. Well, we'll talk about how to format my slicer later. So I'll bring this to my dashboard here so that when I'm selecting full-time and contractor, full-time and contractor, full-time and contractor, you can see this is changing. And I didn't bother changing the design already. So this has already changed my design for me, right? So I'm going to give it a name as well. I'll call it year at company by salary. Year at company by salary. I think I select year at company by salary. Okay, so I'll come back to my slicer. I'll just put the slicer here. I'll come back to the slicer on how you can design your slicer. So the next report I want to create is I've created, I think I just created this one now. I think I have one more here, down here. So let me delete this guy. It's not useful again. Okay, so this one, I'm going to make this one a line chart. So I'll just go to here, select this one and select line chart and just copy, paste to my dashboard and then drag it like this. Just drag it like this. So I can copy any of this guy on this. So I don't necessarily need to be creating a chart, but this is also not the kind of chart that I want. So I'll just unselect data label. I'll right click on this and I'll go to my change chart type. So I'll make it a line chart and I'll click OK. So since I've made the two a line chart, then what I need to do now is to format the line chart. So I'll select the ticker one, format data series, go here, change the color to maybe any color of my choice, maybe my dark, any of my blue. Then I'll make the line not too thick, maybe like 1.5. Then I'll smooth the line. The second one, which is well, the second one, I don't know what the second one is, so I can, the way I will know is if I tick legend here, legend will show me, and I'll tick the arrow in front of legend and select top. That way, I can bring my legend top and bring it to the top right like this. Then I can see female and male. But right now, I think the male color is too, I think it's too tiny. So what I should do is, let me select that and then make it 1.5. 1.5 and then use another color for it. Maybe, what color should I use? Maybe a darker color. No. Maybe a lighter color makes sense, actually. Yeah, maybe a lighter color makes sense, like the lighter color that I've used before. Yeah, this one. Okay, then I also smooth it. Right, then I can leave it as dotted line. It doesn't matter. So then I'm going to give this a name and call it total working years and salary Oh, sorry, I think I'm typing in the wrong place. Let me go back. Total working year. Total working year and salary by gender. Okay, so total working years and salary by gender, and that is the trend of what is going on in there. That's the trend of what is going on in there. So the next thing to create is to use all of this one. So all of this one, what I want to use it for is quite simple and really, really easy. So what I want to use this for is I want to put my gender here. But to do that, I think I should just go to my icon and look for an icon of a female and a male, right? So let me just say female. So female, I think this looks like a female. This looks like a female. And then let's look for male. And this looks like a male. I'm using the same design, so it makes sense, right? Then I'll go to graphic format and change the graphic colors to white, right? Just change the graphic colors to white, and then let's say ladies first. So, and guys below. So let's bring guys below like this, and then ladies first. Ladies first, right? And I'm going to use a line to kind of demarcate this. So I'll go to my shape again and just select line. And this time I'm going to hold my shift so that the line is very straight, right? And I'm going to change the color of the line to white, just white. And I'll duplicate this. And I'll bring the line down as well. So just have the line like this. But I can reduce the thickness of the line if I want to, and also make the line very tiny. But probably maybe I should leave the line like this. I can go to line effect and say I want the line to be a little bit thinner. And I think I should do the same thing for this one as well. So if I go to my shape effect, go to line and make it a little bit thinner. Okay, so now that I have a male and female here, I think I'm getting there. So what I need to do now is to go to insert and then create a text box. Just go to insert, then right here I'll see a text box. So this text box, basically, you select the edge of this text box, right? What I want to do now is I want to reference something inside my pivot table. So you select the edge of this text box. But before you do that, one thing I will advise is, since this is the report I want to create, which is this one, if you go to pivot table analyze here, under this option here, if your get pivot table data is ticked, right, make sure you click this guy and it's not unticked. Let me click it now so you see what I'm saying. If it's ticked like this, make sure you click this guy and it's not ticked, because you won't be able to reference wherever it's inside the visuals like that, right? Now that I've made it on tick, I'll select it like this. Then I'll go to my formula bar, but I think I've switched up my formula bar. So I'll go back to view and just select my formula bar. So I'll be able to use the formula bar. So I'll select the edge of the shape. Remember, select the edge of your text box, go to your formula bar and say equals to, you go to your report, you select female here. Then you see it here. You see that the 501 came, right? Then under your shape format, you can now go here and say no fill, no outline, and go to your home format, change the colors to white, centralize it if you want, change the color to white, increase the size, and we now have the female number, right? The female number. So I can copy and paste this guy, put it down here. So this one, I'm going to go back to my report here and select male and click OK. So I can use Format Painter to use the same format for this. So yeah, so I have male and female like that. Then I can now go to inside again, select another text box and then put a text here. So inside here, I can just say female employees. Female employees. Let me type again, female. Okay, I'm not typing it correctly. female. Okay, what am I typing? Just escape. Okay, so female employee, right? So female employee right here, and I'll go to my shape format, no fill, no outline. Go to my home tab, make this guy color white, increase its size a bit. Let me increase the size a bit. So we have female employee here. Then I'm going to copy this guy, put it down here. And this is male employees, right? So let me put S here and the S here. Okay, so our report is looking nice and make a lot of sense. So what we need to do now is to fill out these ones here. So these ones here, I'm going to use all the reports we have here. I'm going to use all the reports we have here. And I can even do a comparison of this versus previous year if I want to, but I don't have, there's no time now. So I'm just going to use whatever is here. So what I'm going to do now is I can copy any of this one that I've used before so that I don't need to do formatting again. Put it here, then go here. So the first one I'm going to select is my total employee. So I'll select this guy, then I'll use Format Painter on it again so that the size come bigger. Then I can copy this text box as well. And copy this text box as well, put it here. So this text box, I'm going to call this all-time employee count, right? So all-time employee count, all-time employee count, all-time employee count. So maybe I should increase the size of this a little bit. Just increase the size of this a little bit. So what you can do is you can also use an icon in this part. You can use an icon if you want, but for the sake of video, I won't be using an icon. So I can make this bigger. So to take, I can even reduce the size a bit. I think the size is a little bit bigger. Yeah, the size is a little bit bigger. Okay, so the size of this as well is fine. Then you do the same thing for practically everything, and this is what you're going to do. So you bring in your employee head count as well. You bring in your employee head count as well. So I'm going to kind of duplicate this, duplicate this, right? Duplicate this guy. So this one will be my head count. So just come here, select your head count, then your head count will be here. Click on this guy, go to home, do a Format Painter on it. A Format Painter on it, copy the text down. So this one is going to be current employee head count. Current employee head count. Okay, so current employee head count. Then you do the same thing for this one. So this one we are bringing in the next one, which is our termination. So I'm going to go in here, go to my report, select termination, use the Format Painter. Remember to always use that, so you are not formatting one by one. Use the Format Painter. So copy this guy down here. So this one, we're going to call it total number of employee terminated. Total number of employee terminated. Okay, so total number of employee terminated. So the next one, we're going to bring in whatever is next in there, and that's the termination rate. So I'm going to just bring this, use your Format Painter always, select this, copy this guy, put it down here, and I'm going to call this employee termination rate. Employee termination, employee termination rate. Employee termination rate. So this one, I need to maybe reduce the size. I think it's too big. Can even reduce the size more, or even just drag it up here. So I think that is fine. So the next one is my salary. So I'm going to bring that as well. So just go here, select report, select salary. And then for salary, I think I'm going to just format painter. Just do a format painter for this as well. I'm going to reduce the size of this one very well so I can see what is there. And then I'm going to copy this guy. So I'm going to put it here. And I'm going to call this my total salary paid in USD. All right. So total salary paid in USD. Okay, so basically, I think I've created some amazing things, so I can reduce the size of this one by maybe one more. So it's look too big. Yeah, it's a little bit big. And then this guy's reduce the size one more. It looks a bit bigger. Okay. So now I think I have my chart very well. The next thing I'm going to work on now is my slicer. So slicer allows you to kind of do some sort of, let's say you are just moving around your report, just slicing and dicing your report. That's what slicer does, right? So what you can do is if you click on the slicer, then you see a slicer option here. You can either use any of the formats that they have already existing here, or you can decide to create your own slicer design. So when you click the drop down like this, you will see the new slicer header style. So you can go to the O slicer. So the O slicer, I want the O slicers to the fill colors to be white. That's the O slicer. Then selected item with data. Selected item with data. I want selected item with data to have one of my colors, so I can go to that, my second color. So if you have it in handy, I think it's good if you have it in handy. So my second color is 2433A. It's not 30, it's 3A, then 94, right? So that's what I want this to be, my selected item. Then I want the text to be maybe size 9, and then the color of the text should be white. And click OK. So unselected item with data. So unselected item with data, I can format that as well. So I want the font of these ones to also be 9. The font color should be white, and the background colors to be something of this, maybe light blue, right? So when I click OK now, and look at this, if I go here now, I will see the new slicer that I just created, this one. So when I click it, you will see that it has already work on this guy. So whenever I click this guy, click slicer setting, I can remove the you can see the display header. So I can remove the header here, and this one I can go to my slicer setting and make it 2 columns so that I can see it side by side like this. So side by side like this. So anyone that is currently selected, that's the blue. The one that is not selected, that's the light blue. And you can see how this kind of makes sense like this. Okay, so the new slicer I want to create is a slicer on the year. So if I go to my report, I want this one to work on everything. So if I select this one and go to any of this report and go to insert slicer, and then I will look for date start year, right? Which is this one, and click OK. Okay, so for year, I will right click on this and say report connections. So report connections simply means I want it to work with all my pivot tables. So you will tick every of your pivot table, right? Every of your pivot table. So once you do that, let me just, I've done the report connection now. So I'm going to take it to my dashboard. Paste it here. So this is it. I'm going to use my slicer design, which is the design that I use. So then in this design, I'm going to remove the header. So go to slicer setting, I'll remove the display header, click OK. Then here, I'm going to maybe do my slicer to like maybe 20. So if I do 20, I think 20 should make sense because I have a lot of year in there. So I'm going to put that right here. Just put it at the top, somewhere here. Somewhere at the top here. Okay, so I think this makes sense a little bit. Let me bring this down a little bit. Okay, so that when I select a particular year, let me select 2016, for example. So when I select 2016, it worked well on my report. 2016, it worked well on my report. But basically, I don't want it to control this year at company because it doesn't make sense for it to control this year at company. So if I go back to my report, so the year at company, which is this report here, if you go to pivot table design, you will see the name of the pivot table. So no, I think the year at company, yes, it's called pivot table 25. So if I don't want it to control it because it's year at company, basically, if I go to my report connection, you look for pivot table 25, you untick it and you click OK. That way it doesn't control this one. It only controls the rest. So if I select whatever I select here, they all work fine. And then everything seems to be accurate and very nice. Okay. So one more thing is I may want to add let's say I want to add, okay, but I need to even remove the title on this one. So I don't want this title, so I can get rid of it, right? Because it's making my chart look messy. Okay, so 2021, 2022. So sorry, I think I need to untick the later label here. 2015. So you see different things as I'm clicking. Another thing slicer I can add is maybe a slicer on department. So I can put a slicer on the department, so I can slice and dice by different departments, right? So if I go back to my report and I go here, pivot table analyzer, and click on insert slicer and look for department here. Department, and then I'm going to go take my department to my dashboard, paste it here, and then I will remove the slicer heading for my department. Then I will also use my slicer style, which is this one. Then I can look for where to kind of put my my department slicer right now. So I can actually create a space for it down here. I can also create a space for it beside here, or I can even create a space for it here. So it depends on how you want to create a space for your department, basically. So you can align your department slicer perfectly like the way I did here. I just put it side here. I think this is where I decided to put it at the end of the day. You can put yours anywhere you like. And then once you are done with this, I think the way you post this report on LinkedIn or Twitter, and make sure you tag me. So what you do to post this report is you can either use sniping tool. So if you search for sniping tool on your system, you have a sniping tool. Then from the sniping tool, you click on new like this. When you click on new, so you highlight your dashboard like this. When you highlight it, so you will be able to copy this as a picture just in case. Then you save this. So just in case just in case your system does not allow you to save as image, right? Another way you can save very easily, right, is you can actually put a shape at the back of this. So let's draw a shape. So I'm going to draw a shape and put it at the back and put it here. So probably let me just making the shape to have the same size. Okay, then I'm going to go to shape format. So the shape fill, I will use this second option that I used before, and I will say no outline, right? And then I'll right click this and send it to the back. So it's just a shape sending at the back. So when I do Control A now, it's going to pick all of the shapes. So when you right click on it and you say save as picture, then you can actually save this. So dashboard. So you can save this as picture. And then when I go to my system, and then I will see the picture that I just saved, which is this one. All right. So make sure you finish your challenge. Tag me on LinkedIn and then Twitter, and make sure you put a comment on this video. Thank you so much. Bye.